Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be recreating a black and white striped 1940s dress. Here's a picture of the dress I'm going to be recreating. It's currently mid-September, meaning it is now spooky time. Black and white stripes, Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween. But I'm also doing this for hashtag thestripeychallenge organized by Carolina Jabrowska, in which you are to recreate a pre-1970s black and white striped garment. Most people recreate a garment from a fashion plate or a vintage ad. I am using a photo of an actual vintage garment. Here's the fabric I'm going to be using. I got it from the thrift store for only about $3, which is fabulous price. There's only about 2 yards of it, so I wish I had a little bit more, but this is what we have, so I think I can make it work. In the close-up images of the actual dress, you can see that it's not actually black and white stripes, it's brown and white stripes with some little tiny stripes of some colors and stuff. So that's something I'm changing a little bit. I'm just gonna be using normal black and white striped fabric. So without further ado, let's get making a spooky dress. Alright, so I actually went and came up with pattern pieces and cut them out off camera because my pattern drafting process is kind of weird and complicated, but I have the pieces, so I'm basically just gonna explain to you how they're gonna go together and sort of show you my thought process. I had the reference pictures opened on my phone while I was making the pattern. That way I could just look at what the shapes of the different pattern pieces were and measure spots on my body to sort of replicate the pattern in a way. So because there's a picture of the dress pattern, but also a picture of the dress actually made, you can see that there's actually been a couple different things done. In the actual extant dress, you can see that they've changed some of the stripes directions. So I decided to actually follow the images of the extant dress because you could see more different angles and there was views of the back and some close-ups and everything, so it was just kind of easier to copy. So here is the front piece, which will just go like that. Then there's two of these side pieces, which will go like that, and two of these back pieces, which will go like that, and the dress buttons up down the center back. Now for the little shoulder ruffly pieces, I can see in the images that it is actually one piece that just goes over the shoulder. However, I didn't have enough length of fabric to do that, so I have it in two pieces that will go and have a seam at the shoulder. And then for the skirt, I just had to sort of figure it out. It's just this rectangle and this smaller rectangle. I'll sew them together into one long strip and then gather it into a skirt. So I had just barely enough fabric to do this, so the skirt is probably not going to be quite as full as I would have wanted it to be, but it's fine. I can also wear a skirt over top of this and just use like the top section, which will also be adorable anyhow. Then I have a few pieces like this that will be the waistband that I also need to sew together to get the right length. And then we have the little pockety pieces. I am not doing a lining, mostly because I am too lazy, but also I can just wear a tank top and a petticoat underneath and that will serve as the lining just fine. So I'm going to start sewing. I'm just going to sort of sew together the main pieces of the bodice, just the general structure, and maybe start sewing the skirt together. That's just the main basic steps, and then we can start doing the finishing and adding the buttons and all that stuff. So I'm going to put on some vintage Halloween music and start sewing. I made this entire dress with hand sewing, but you could totally do it with a sewing machine if you wanted to. I did all of the seams with just a simple running stitch. Alrighty, so it is the next day. Yesterday I worked on the main structure of the bodice, and then in the evening I worked on the skirt. So I sewed the pieces into a sort of tube that has the opening in the back. I also sewed together the different pieces of the waistband. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna attach the waistband to the bodice. I'm only gonna go just sort of like halfway around the front of my waist so that the rest can be tied in the back, and then it can sort of be fitted to the waist a little nicer. And then once I do that, I'm going to start gathering the skirt into the waistband. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll get back to you. For the hardest blow of all is to hear the bugler call. You've got to get up, you've got to get up, you've got to get up this morning. Hey, so I did something kind of stupid. So I have the main structure of the dress and everything, but I didn't realize that here the skirt and the bodice are not actually attached because the waistband I wanted to be able to tie. But that means that I need like another little section of waistband to like attach like the very top of the actual skirt and this, and then you can also tie it closed over top of that waistband. However, I don't think I have enough fabric for that, so I am just going to attach the waistband all the way along. So you'll be able to tie it up, it just won't like cinch the waist quite as much. But the waist of this dress does already fit me quite well, so I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to attach the rest of the waistband, and then I'm going to do some like double folded hemming on each edge to sort of make the rest a ribbon that you can tie. I do have some more little like shorter segments here that I'd like to attach to make it a little bit longer so I can tie a bow in the back a little more easily. So I'll attach those, attach the waistband, and sort of ribbonify the excess of the waistband, and then we shall go from there. Hola! As you can see by the lighting, it is now much later. It's around 10:30 right now, and I have finished that waistband of the dress. I did a little felling on the inside of the waistband, so because it is getting quite late, I'm probably gonna go to bed and pick this up in the morning. But I think what I'm gonna do next is work on a lot of the felling and finishing on the inside. And then after I've done that, I can do like the hemming around the armholes and the neckline and the bottom of the skirt. So I'll see you in the morning. 'Tis now the next day. I have the dress here. What I'm gonna do next is the felling on the inside. If you do not know what felling is, it's basically when you go on an inside seam and you fold it over twice so that the raw edge is tucked under. Then you do little whip stitches down it to hold it in place. This is a more traditional method for finishing the inside of a garment. It makes it really nice and clean on the inside with no raw edges. Unfortunately, felling isn't really something you can do with a machine, so it does take a little bit of time, especially if you have a lot of really big seams. But in my opinion, the results are very much worth it. So I'm gonna start doing that, and then I'll get back to you.
But listen here, old pal, if this is what they give us with the
Okay, I have felled the entire inside of the dress, as you can see here. Now that that's done, I need to do the hemming of all of the openings. So the center back opening needs to be hemmed, the neckline and the armholes, and the bottom of the skirt. This, along with the interior finishing, is usually one of the longest parts of making a garment, especially a dress, because the skirt has plenty of hem, so I am going to get hemming.
It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but we're not downhearted yet.
It's now the evening, it's around 7:30, and I've finished all of the hemming on the dress. So what I'm gonna do next is sew together the ruffle pieces and hem them and whip stitch them onto the dress. And then I'll hem and attach the pockets. But once that's done, all I need to do is sew on the buttons and we'll be finished. Welcome to yet another day, and today I am quite positive that I'm going to finish the dress. I went to the thrift store and got a little packet of buttons. The original dress has 4 buttons going down the back, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm probably gonna do a couple hook and eyes on the skirt portion. So let's sew some buttons, sew some buttonholes, and then we shall have the reveal. That was the creation of this 1940s spooky striped dress. You best believe I'm gonna be wearing this all through October because I feel like a Tim Burton character and I love it. So let's just quickly talk about a few things that I would change about this dress if I was to do it again. As you can see, I wrapped the tie around and tied it in the front of my waist instead of the back. This is because if I actually did tie it in the back, the waist did not fit me as well as I thought it was going to, so I actually really like the bow in the front anyways. But if I was to do this again, I would want the waist to fit me a little bit better already so that I could tie it in the back if I wanted to, but could also still wrap it around and tie in the front. That way I could just have a few more options. And of course I would have liked the skirt to be a tiny bit fuller, but I didn't have enough fabric to do that, and I am still really happy with how it turned out. So I'm very glad that the stripey challenge is a thing because it actually inspired me to make this dress, and I'm very happy to have it. And I highly recommend making yourself a black and white striped garment because the spooky vibes are just... Quickly before I finish the video, I'd like to mention that I have an Etsy shop, Gwen's Vintage Box, where I'm selling vintage and antique curated boxes themed after different colors. So the link to my shop will be in the description, check it out. And that would be it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Spooky, scary skeletons.
So I'm gonna start working on that. I'll sew it by